evening, everyone. Welcome to the American Sports Connection. I'm your host, the one and only Joey Railroads. I'm here with a very special guest. This guy, if you're familiar with indie wrestling in the tri-state area, this guy is fucking everywhere. And he's gracing our presence today to tell us all about the Dojo Wars 3-year, I guess we'll call it extravaganza. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Emil Jay. How are you doing this morning, Emil?
I'm doing very good, very excited. Lots of anticipation for Wednesday. I'm super excited. You might not be able to tell by the tone of my voice or the inflection that I'm that excited, but hey, it's 10 o'clock in the morning.
I'm about to say it's still early.
But yeah, it's still early. Yeah, man, big things are going to be happening on Wednesday, and yeah, let's talk about it.
Absolutely.
Okay. I know you've been, you personally have been coming to these events for quite some time.
It's about a calendar year.
Yeah. Yeah, and you've seen the way that these guys are progressing and the issues and all that. A whole lot of stuff has been going down at the dojo, especially recently in recent history. I think when you started coming about a year ago, things weren't quite cooking yet. You know what I mean? Like,
yes.
If things were heating up, I was kind of finding my way. But now I feel very, very good about the product. I'm very inspired. It's literally pretty much the only thing I care about in terms of like modern day professional wrestling. Like when it all boils down to it. I mean, yes, I am everywhere, and I do love all the companies that I work for and with. But when it comes down to it, like, hey, what do you like best? I'm going to say Dojo Wars 11 times out of 10 because it just fits into what I find to be the most rewarding thing, and that's to help out these young up-and-comers and these rookies and just help them and provide them a platform to ply their trade. And, you've seen it. You've seen it firsthand, the improvement in, like, everybody on the roster on a week-to-week basis. You know what I mean? Like, it's crazy. Like, the proof is there.
Absolutely. And I was going to say, and what other value are you going to get or more bang for your buck to go to a professional wrestling show for, several hours and be entertained for $5?
Yeah, especially this week. I've gone off the deep end. I loaded this show up because, I want to celebrate. I just want to celebrate. I mean, there's a lot of places out there that don't do things as regularly or as often as we do. So many places. Now, granted, I understand there's a difference here. Like, we don't have to rent a building, and we're not shelling out top dollar to bring in guys and everything like that. It's a different situation. It's a different scenario. But just the regularity that we do this, there's a different feeling to Dojo Wars to me than there is a lot of other places.
No, I completely agree.
Yeah, I mean, granted, it's different circumstances, but still, it is what it is, man. It's just blossomed from what it first started as.
Yeah, I'll give you an example. Like, you say that, but you still have young, hungry guys that are coming from as far as like a couple weeks ago from fucking Connecticut.
Yeah, and just this past Wednesday we had Ryan Donovan make the trek down from Canada, as well as D-Roy from they were from Canada.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's guys that are they're coming from everywhere because you've basically built this up to where it's like, hey, I gotta be here.
Yeah, next week I got a couple of guys from North Carolina. The week after that, Virginia. So I'm just trying to keep it. People message me and I say, yeah, I'd love to have you up here. Let's work out a date. And they know what the deal is. They know what it's for. They know it's for exposure and ring time and everything like that. I'm not. Nobody's pulling the wool over anybody's eyes. Nobody's expecting, one of those envelopes at the end of the night. People know that this is, a different beast. It's for training. It's for practice. It's for being in front of people.
It's an opportunity to show like what you are.
Yeah, and it's also something where you don't get better unless you do it as often as you can. And let me tell you, training is paramount. But unless you get to apply those things in front of a live crowd as often as you can, those things aren't. You're not fully going to learn those things and why those things work. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So you gotta apply those lessons in front of people in the ring, and Dojo Wars that's what that's for. Just to work out the kinks, whatever problems you might have, whatever you might want to work on, this, that, and the other. Like that's what we're here for. We're here to help people, and we're here to get people's names out, get these young guys some exposure. And I think this Wednesday we're going to have a whole lot of exposure, because I'm hoping, I know you've been there before, we filled that dojo like over capacity before. We've done it, and I think we can do it again, because this card is very strong.
I was going to say, with what you announced this past week alone, should fill that place up.
Yeah, and I can hear the reactions, from the people sitting there in the crowd as I was going over these matches, and I felt some sort of like genuine excitement for pretty much every match that I had mentioned. Now, I think this would be a great segue for me to make a change here, because last Wednesday, if you remember, I announced Big Scare versus Nate Carter.
Yes.
Nate Carter, excellent match with Joe Gacy for the CZW World Title.
Fantastic.
Wow, absolutely brilliant. Probably the best singles match I've ever seen Nate Carter have. It was just wonderful. But following that contest, Nate told me that due to circumstances beyond anybody's control, he won't be able to make it to Dojo Wars for the next couple of Wednesdays.
Okay.
Work-related things, but we something that we can't. There's nothing that we can do about it.
Hey, like I've always said, real life happens sometimes.
Absolutely. And so that change now is going to be Big Scare versus Ryan Zane.
Ooh.
I was rather impressed with Ryan Zane on Wednesday. His match with Laszlo, I thought, was fantastic.
Yeah.
I really enjoy the way that Ryan Zane has kind of, when he first started coming around to the dojo, he was a guy that, he had wrestled before, and I knew that because I'm friends with him. And we were in a pinch, and I said, hey, man, do you mind? And, he got in there, and you could see as he was wrestling, the ring rust was kind of coming off. And then after that match he had with DJ, courtesy of the Lethal Lottery a few weeks back, it's sort of like that was a match that kind of like cemented his spot. Like he stayed in there with Dojo Deej. He hung in there, and here he is. He's a full-time guy now. After that, he came to me. He's like, you know what? I remember what you said. I always have a home here. But I want to be here every week now. So all right. So let's go.
That's awesome.
Right from the frying pan into the fire. Because the match with Billy was great fun. He had an excellent match with Laszlo, and I think with the way that Big Scare's been, the way his attitude's been, and the way Ryan Zane's kind of trying to carve out something for himself. This is going to be. I think that's going to be the sleeper match of the whole night.
Right. I have to say, Big Scare has really stepped his game up in the last few months.
Yeah, he had he had the pieces before, and I think that's quite evident. But sometimes it just takes a little bit of time for all those elements to kind of click together.
Yeah.
And figure out, okay, now this is what if I'm this intense, I could pull off this move this way, or I could, work on this strike or this slam or whatever. Once you get it perfected, then once you start getting working for you, I mean, all bets are off. And we saw in the Cibernetico, he eliminated 3 people in like a minute and a half?
Yeah.
2 minutes. And it wasn't, and it just so happened, luck wasn't on his side that the next person up after Jimmy Lloyd was Dojo Deej, because, he turned around right into that big lariat. And, I don't care who you are. I don't think anybody's kicking out of that Dojo Deej lariat. So, I mean, if Dojo Deej wasn't next in that scenario, who knows how many people Big Scare could have eliminated in a row like that. Because he was cooking.
Absolutely, I agree with you.
And and like I said, Ryan Zane, he's starting to come into his own. That ring rust is getting knocked off. I see. I've been sending. He's been saying, I want to study things. I want to get some ideas, and I've been sending him some match footage, some like All Japan stuff from the '90s. And if you watch All Japan in the '90s, you could tell that was influential in his match against Lazo. He was pulling out some little tricks that I saw Kawada used to do. I saw some tricks in there that he pulled out, and that's cool to see, because it shows that not only is he watching the footage, but he's paying attention to it, he's studying it, and he's learning how to apply it for himself. So, and I hope he does the same thing against Big Scare, because just to see that element against Dan, I don't know. I think that's going to be a real good one.
Here's some. I'll tell you this real quick, Emil, because I just got a message in our chat. One of my good friends over in the UK is watching us from work.
Oh, okay, fantastic. Greetings, or cheers, as they say in the UK, right? Cheers. So, I mean, and hopefully, this is a good segue into a shameless plug. Your friend, hopefully he knows to go to youtube.com/Dojo Wars 1 to check out all of our previous footage and what will be coming in the future, because pretty soon, I know we're a little bit behind, but I'm about to lay down commentary on about like 4 or 5 events at a clip. Probably just one day, lock myself in my room and and just upload them all very quickly in quick succession to get us caught up, because this stuff needs to be seen.
Well, yeah, that, and I was gonna say the people that don't know, Dojo now has some fancy technology, so things will be getting up a lot quicker.
Yeah, fancy technology, and it's only going to get a little bit fancier. We're working on, putting improvements on things, and that's why, for instance, that the Super Show that's coming up next Friday to kick off Memorial Day weekend on the 26th, we're starting to have these Super Shows at the dojos on Fridays, either every month or every other. We kind of haven't figured out the exact schedule yet, because of, everybody's got different things that they got going on, but we're trying to hammer down a specific schedule.
Yeah.
But, we're trying to have these extra Super Shows, and those are going to be $10 on the Friday. And, I'm going to be using the Wednesdays to build up to those Friday Super Shows. And with that money that comes in, that, doubled ticket price, well, all that is going to just go right back into the dojo, because, hey, we need to get some things. We're working on getting some cool little technology in there, and just sprucing things up, and maybe having money for merch or whatever the case may be. We're trying to use this income that we're getting. Wednesdays, that help us pay rent. For the venue, it helps us pay the monthly rent.
Right.
But these Super Shows, we're trying to use the revenue from that to put back into the building, whether it's improvements or getting merchandise or upping the technology. That's what we're trying to do here, because it's very much a DIY kind of thing that we're doing at the dojo.
Yeah, I was going to tell you, when you mentioned the super shows, it reminds me, and you will appreciate this, of like when you would watch Wrestling Challenge or like Superstars, and then it would build up into something on Saturday night's main event.
Absolutely. That's sort of, and that's exactly what I've kind of been explaining it to people, except I went the WCW route with my analogy. I used like Worldwide and Saturday Night to build up to Clash of the Champions.
Yeah, that's a good one too.
Yeah, that's only because I'm a WCW kid. I love me some WWF, but I was always a WCW kid. That we'll figure out what happens on that Super Show based upon what happens on this 3-year anniversary spectacular, because I still got a whole lot of stuff to talk about here. So we got Big Scare Ryan Zane. That's the change from what I announced, and then we're going to see a little bit of past versus present here in terms of women's action, because we have a former champion of Valor. Brittany Blake, she's coming back. She's returning to the dojo, and she's going to take on Emily, somebody who's been making waves at the dojo. She's like the new kid on the block, it's going to be an interesting thing to see, sort of like the first woman to make an impact in Dojo Wars against the one who's doing so right now. The first homegrown WCW, excuse me, the first homegrown woman CZW student, graduate, whatever you want to call it, in the Dojo Wars era, of course.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Nothing against like Kimberly or any of them, but she was the first one of the Dojo Wars era, Brittany Blake, and now against the current one in Emily. So that's going to be fun. It's going to be fun to watch, I think. I want to see how Emily steps up to the plate against somebody who's accomplished some things in her short career. Then from there, no disqualification match for the Tier 1 World Heavyweight title. A rematch from the Lethal Lottery event where Mike Dell wrestled Mr. Darius Carter for Mr. Carter's Tier 1 World Heavyweight title. That match ended a bit controversially, if I may say so myself.
Yeah.
That disqualification, the referee called for the bell when a chair was tossed. It wasn't really even thrown. It was just kind of in the way, maybe kind of tossed, and it struck Mike Dell. Disqualification for Mr. Darius Carter, and the only way to rectify this situation, because let's face it, Mr. Carter was not happy. Even though he kept his title, he wasn't happy losing the match. So he contacted me. He said, "You know what? I don't like this. I want to rectify it. I'll give Mike Dell a rematch, and I'll also do this, no disqualification, because he doesn't want to get caught with that again." So Mr. Darius Carter, wrestling's richest prize, a Tier 1 World Heavyweight Champion, very smart, very cagey, a veteran of professional wrestling. He wants to kind of offset that blemish, that slight blemish on his record, but we can't discount Mike Dell. I mean, over the past few weeks, especially with that kind of change in attitude that he's gone through with Kid Osborne, he's really been cooking too, and it certainly seems like he's kind of on the straight and narrow now. I saw last week. Typically he brings down his knee pad and then drops the knee with the exposed knee. Well, he dropped the knee pad and then he put it back on. He didn't. I guess he's thinking, he doesn't have to resort to trying to hurt his opponent. You know what I mean? Like, there is some sort of mental thing going on there where maybe he's realizing how he was acting at the dojo maybe wasn't beneficial. Maybe there's maybe there could be greater success in playing by the rules and being, having the fans on his side. Yeah, on the up and up, having the fans on his side. And it certainly seems like you guys that come every week, you guys are starting to take to Kit and Dell a bit. Because their attitude, it has been changing a bit. You saw Kid Osborne at the end of the Cibernetico. He fought And Mike Dell's the one that made him fight for it. They're best of friends.
Yeah.
And Dell was like, hey, man, if you want it, you're going to have to earn it just the way that I'm going to have to earn it. And let me tell you, that final few minutes of that Cibernetico, that was something cool to see those two guys go at it. And then afterwards, show everybody that, hey, they're still friends. And I think that showed the audience that things were changing in terms of their mentality.
Right, and I was going to say, and now Dell is coming out with his new finishing maneuver that he's come up with over the last few weeks.
And that's one of those things where it's sort of like a take on the Ace Crusher, where he can hit it out of nowhere, but he brings the knees up into the face of his opponent. So it's sort of like a cross between of a RKO and a code breaker, sort of. And what's interesting is that Mr. Darius Carter also uses the form of the code breaker as one of his favorite moves. So that's going to be interesting. Who's going to be able to hit it first? Will that lead to the victory, or will it not? You know what I mean? Like, so there's a lot of different questions in play here now. Then from there, we're going to go into a situation that unfolded last week at the end of a tag team match, where it was Mike Dell and Tahir James, who, I might add, they weren't necessarily getting along in that match.
No, not at all.
Especially towards the end. I don't know if Tahir, of course, Tahir was the third member of the little faction or stable that was running around with Kit and Dell. I don't know if he's turning that same leaf as Kit and Mike Dell have, because it certainly seems that he's brash and arrogant as ever, breaking the rules, wrestling dirty. Mike Dell took umbrage with that last week. He was pulling the hair of Anthony Bennett all throughout the match, and that's what led to the challenge that was made by Anthony Bennett at the conclusion of that matchup. He said, hey, you want to pull my hair? Okay. How about next week we settle it? Hair versus hair. And it's going to be Anthony Bennett versus Tahir James in a hair versus hair match, and somebody's going to look rather different at the end of Wednesday night than they did coming into it, because
I love this stipulation because it reminds me of a very old school-esque stipulation.
Yeah, man. Sometimes you need a good. Sometimes you need to take away something in like the hair. Tahir, and Anthony Bennett. They obviously both put a lot of time in to making sure their hair's looking right. Looking the right type of way, in the proper shape. And psychologically, if one of those guys gets their head shaved, who knows what it might do to their confidence, their, how they perform in a ring. You would hear about it if you would watch WCW back in the late 90s. Sometimes Mike Tenay would talk about how if a luchador would lose their mask in a mask versus mask match, sometimes it changes the way that they're able to wrestle. Sometimes it changes their psyche. It messes them up. It affects their confidence. And, the same thing with the hair. It can be embarrassing if if you're shaved bald. You know what I mean? And maybe your head looks weird. Who knows? Maybe you gotta. I don't know what it is, but when men start to go bald and they lose their hair, it kind of changes their psyche a bit. Now imagine that you have a great head of hair, you lose a match, you had to get your head shaved bald. And it's like sort of like this mental thing that comes in your head, like, man, I lost my hair, not because of something natural, but because of something I did or something I did not do. I didn't win the match.
Yeah.
So I lost my hair. Who knows? Like, could it affect either one of their psyches? Both of them have been doing really well lately. Anthony Bennett, has been picking up wins. Tahir James has a pinfall victory over Dojo Deej. Let's not forget that. So, I mean, they've both been excelling. Now, if one of them loses their hair, how does that change their mentality?
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
It's just one of those things that I don't think people realize or people think about these hair matches. And then I guess before I get into the bigger three matches, I do want to mention that I am in negotiations with House of Glory to get some of their guys down here. I spoke with a couple of them on Saturday. Of course, Private Party was at CZW Sacrifices. And I know that they want to be here. The question is, can they be here? And it just boils down to a transportation thing if they're able to get here. So let me just go over the matches that I would like to happen if they are available.
Okay.
And if not, I have backup plan. So here we are. Bones, the creepy Bones, is tentatively scheduled to wrestle the Ultimate Dad of the Year in John Rockhold. And who the hell knows what that's going to be like? Because you got this strange...
That'll be very interesting.
Yeah, and you know what? One of the last times we saw Bones, he was in there with Daniel Montgomery Yost, and when Yost put the bad mouth on him and got psychological with him, we saw Bones kind of flip out and really, really get into it. And you know what? I think if Angry Dad doesn't play his cards right, that's he's going to suffer the same fate maybe because when Bones gets pissed, it's not good. But also when John Rockhold gets pissed, it's not good either.
No.
So that's going to be an interesting matchup there. Should it be available to go down? Then I have tentatively signed the Hungarian hero, Laszlo Arpad, against Ken Broadway, Cashflow Ken.
Oh, wow.
In a big boy match. That's what I like to call them. Some people call them hoss fights. Some people call them strong style. I call it a big boy match. You know what I mean? Once again, a subtle nod to WCW, where the big boys play. But we're not playing at the dojo. We're fighting. It's a big boy fight. And then, of course, Private Party versus Jimmy Lloyd and Billy Danvers.
That should be fantastic.
Yes, that is what I would like to have happen. Now, and I also tentatively have scheduled a four-way between Ace Austin, Tulpa, Clutch Adams, and Jamie Senegal. I have to double check with Jamie to see if he's good to go. But should he be good to go, he'll be the fourth member of that. This will be a fatal four-way.
I was going to say, because we don't do triple threats here.
We certainly do not. I hate those. So those will not exist. Now, granted, I said that's if the House of Glory guys can make it.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed. If they can't, however, the fatal four-way will still happen. Tulpa, Clutch, Jamie still involved. Since Bones won't be here, I'm going to add John Rockhold to that situation. And then Ace Austin and Laszlo Arpad will kind of reform their little tag team that they had for a little while, and they will go against Jimmy Lloyd and Billy Danvers.
Okay, well, that's interesting either way.
Yeah, so I kind of I have a backup plan. Of course, I would like to have the House of Glory guys there because I think they have been they've been a part of Dojo. They've been a pretty good part of Dojo Wars over the course of the last 6 to 8 months.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
With Ken Broadway coming down and even the guys I didn't mention like Sasha Jenkins, like Evander James, like Smiley who came down, and sheesh, I think there's one or two more that I may not have mentioned. Matt Travis, yes, I knew there was one. I associate him with Ken Broadway so much,
No, I understand because he's usually tagging with him.
Right, murder by kicks. I think of Ken Broadway. I think of Matt Travis right then, and Matt Travis, exactly. Evander James, Sasha Jenkins. All those guys that have everybody that's come down from House of Glory. Any one of them has always been. It's always been a great experience having them come down. So I would, of course, like to have them come down and celebrate with us. Now, gets to the big time here. In a match which I received a message the other day over the weekend, this will now be a paraphernalia on a pole match. And, of course, I'm talking about El Rancho versus the returning El Gordo Libre.
My two favorite luchadors.
Yes, they are a bit unlike your average luchador, I would say, but just as entertaining. And entertaining, that's the key word to this matchup, because that's what it's going to be. You bring El Gordo Libre, and of course what comes with him is a whole lot of party favors and
Chipotle,
loose women, Newports.
Yeah.
Wait, Marlboros.
Yeah, Marlboros.
Marlboros. He's a Marlboro guy. So you're going to get a whole lot of fun out of El Gordo Libre, and then of course El Rancho. Who the hell knows what he's going to do? I don't even think he knows what he's going to do. He's got a couple screws loose up in his head, and he doesn't use his wrench.
A paraphernalia on a pole, that just it makes it even more interesting.
Yeah, who knows what's going to be on that pole? What kind of paraphernalia? Maybe I don't know. I might have to remove myself from any sort of responsibility from this situation. But when you get two guys like El Gordo Libre and El Rancho, and you tell them, "Hey, bring some stuff that you use recreationally. We're going to put it on a pole." Granted, somebody's going to walk away with somebody else's paraphernalia.
You would think, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you put something on a pole, like remember back to Survivor Series 92, nightstick on a pole, nails and Big Boss Man. First person to bring down that nightstick can use it, right?
Yeah,
well,
I remember that.
Now the first person to bring down this paraphernalia, I don't know if they're going to use it right away, but they might walk away from the match with a brand new device or
who knows?
Whatever. Who knows? It's going to be,
Either way,
also,
it'll be very entertaining.
Yeah, and I will, I guess, put a disclaimer before the match happens. Hey, kids, don't do any of this stuff at home. It's bad for you. Yeah. So that's gonna be one fun matchup. And then of course, your favorite wrestler's favorite wrestler versus your favorite wrestler's favorite wrestler's favorite wrestler. Of course, it's going to be the Product, David Starr, versus who may be one of the best professional wrestlers on earth, Dojo Deej. My God. I don't know what it is about the dojo, but Dojo Deej is just on a different level.
It's just like when he wrestles, it's just, and I hate using this term, but it's like magic. It just kind of flows.
Yeah, like, I don't know, like, he's just got something to him. I think, you know what it is that he comes out there, he beats people up.
It's probably because we all get the excitement of him chopping the ever-loving shit out of people.
Yeah, but you know what? Nowadays, the Dojo Deej match is something that a lot of people are hitting me up. They're like, "Oh, we want to go against him," because they want to test themselves and they want to bring it to Deej. You know what I mean? And there's a bunch of people who have. I mean, that Tahir was able to put him down. Clutch Adams came close. maybe not so close. But a lot of guys, when they step in the ring, they against Dojo Deej, they see it as a big time opportunity in order to show the big dog that, hey, I'm in your yard for a reason, pretty much. And apparently I just started talking about Roman Reigns just now, but whatever.
I was going to say, Emil, last week he had a hell of a test with give me a second, Big Daddy something.
Big Daddy D-Roy.
Thank you.
Yeah, and oh man, that was one hell of a match. I didn't know what to expect there, but D-Roy brought it to him, but DJ just a bit too much, and that was one hell of a match, I thought. And but I mean, hey, this coming off of this Saturday, and even yesterday. Star had a match with Josh Woods, but on Saturday he had that match with Zack Sabre Jr., an incredible contest. And there's been nobody recently on the independent scene that I think has been as busy, as consistently in more places than David Starr has been in the past couple of months. That man, he is everywhere, anywhere, wrestling top flight opponents. Each and every time he steps in the ring, and man, he's really I've been saying it a lot. He's really cooking. That's kind of my thing now, I guess.
And now he's getting ready to. Because I talked to him on Saturday. He said, I don't remember exactly when, but he's getting ready to go back overseas for an extended period of time.
Yeah, he'll be there. I think at the end of this month, he goes over there, working in Europe. But I mean, this is going to be this is a match that he kind of asked for, I saw the way that everybody sees the way he reacts to Dojo Deej when he comes out. When I say he's your favorite wrestler's favorite wrestler, that's not just something I made up.
That's a shoot.
That it certainly is. I mean, I remember after the first couple of Dojo Deej matches, David Starr went on Twitter and he said, Dojo Deej is my favorite wrestler. And that's not something I told him to say. That's not something DJ told him to say. Nobody told him to say. He legitimately feels that way. And I saw that, and I said, I knew this 3-year anniversary was coming up, and I knew it was going to be special. And I said, when we were talking, David Starr, he goes, I'd love to wrestle Dojo Deej. And I said, hey, would you mind doing it at the 3-year anniversary? And he said, absolutely. He wants to do it. Anytime you get two guys in a ring that want to have a match with each other, it's a different kind of good, because this isn't out of, hatred or animosity or anything like that. When you get two guys who step in the ring against each other, who want to wrestle each other, who want to test each other, the output is going to be different than any other sort of professional wrestling contest. They're going to test each other, and it's going to be very interesting to watch them play out. So I'm very excited for that matchup, is...
I was going to say, Emma, real quick, I don't think anyone lately has been putting on the type of fantastic matches that David Starr has been in the last 6 months.
Absolutely, every time out, it's a great match. Granted, in the Combat Zone, he kind of hasn't been able to finish of late. But maybe that's just a skate zone thing. Maybe when he steps into the dojo, he'll put it together. Different. Yeah. And but who knows? The only way to find out is to be at 110 Harmon Drive in Blackwood on Wednesday at 8:00. $5 in your hand, and that's where you're going to find out what's going to happen.
Sweet 105, correct?
Not 105. Where'd you get 105? That's 304.
Oh, Jesus. See, it's early. That's why.
105 is on the other side.
My bad.
304.
Sorry.
No, it's all good. I was just trying to figure out where 105 may have come from.
I don't know. It's probably due to my lack of sleep.
Probably. At some point, you're probably going to see the thing that made you think of 105, and you're going to hit me up, and I'm going to laugh about it.
I have no doubt.
Yeah. There's something on your mind that has something to do with that, I'm sure. But that's not it. I feel like Ron Popeil, but wait, there's more, because in the main event for the grandest prize of them all that exists in Dojo Wars is an elimination 4-way match for the Medal of Valor. This is the first time the Medal of Valor has ever been defended outside of a 2 out of 3 falls matchup. The very, very first time.
And why not at the 3-year anniversary show?
Especially because I have 3 people who have very I can't think of the right word right now. I got confused. Excuse me.
They're all kind of like
they have
same.
claims. Yeah, they have 3 very big claims to say that they are the number 1 contender. That's how I'll put it. In that, let me introduce the principals here. We have Blackwater, the champion, who has been running roughshod ever since he won it at Mega Event 3 on the afternoon of the most recent Cage of Death last year, against former champion of Valor, Frankie Picard, against the winner of the first ever Cybernetico of Dojo Wars history, Kid Osborne, against the man who I believe has the record for most matches in Dojo Wars history, that being Josh Adams, Mr. Dojo Wars himself.
That's true.
Yeah, I can't think of anybody else who's had as many matches as he has. I would imagine Frankie is number 2, but there was a point in time where he was injured and this, that, and the other. I think that Josh Adams is the clear number 1 in that. But, we've seen over the course of the past few months how everybody involved in this situation has kind of been intertwining. Josh Adams had that issue with Kid Osborne as we wrapped up last year. Frankie and Blackwater have been mortal enemies. Josh and Frankie have not been getting along at all, probably because of the way Frankie's been acting lately. Kit and Frankie have an issue because, let's face it, Kid Osborne took that shot, that low blow from Frankie. Who knows what the hell that was about? I don't like this change of attitude in Frankie Picard. It's weird how just when Kid Osborne seems to be turning the corner and fighting on the up and up, Frankie Picard, he seems to be going the other way. I don't know what that's about. And then, of course, Josh Adams and Blackwater, way back in the summer of 2015, they used to team up. They had a little thing going on. For those of you who may not be up on your Dojo Wars history, it was a little collective group between Josh Adams, Blackwater, and Big Scare was involved in that, too. Something that people may not remember, but they do have that history as a team. They have that history against each other. Josh Adams, at one point in time recently, almost had that Medal of Valor in his hands, but Frankie Picard ran in and caused a disqualification. So there you have an even more underlying issue between Frankie and Josh Adams. And of course, it was that miscommunication between Frankie and Josh that led to Josh's elimination in the Cybernetico. So, I mean, you have all of these just issues and combustible elements all coming into one matchup here. And these are the 4, I mean, I don't want to discount Connor Claxton or Brittany Blake or, Kurt Robinson or Wheeler Yuta or any of the people that have been involved in Dojo Wars from the very beginning or were around or were an integral part. But now I think at this point in time, the four pillars of Dojo Wars are exactly those four individuals who are in this main event. Kid Osborne, Frank Picard, Josh Adams, Blackwater. They are, the four main guys. I don't want to take away from anybody else, but those are the guys that have been there the longest, that have the champion pedigree, that have been winning things, that have just been around. You know what I mean? So to see all those four guys interact now all against each other, not in a tag team format, not in a six-man, not in a cybernetico, not in a singles match, but in a four-way. Everybody's going to be there. Everybody's going to be able to settle their differences, hopefully. Now, there's two more stipulations on this matchup. Number one, Trooper Autobahn, the senior official who turned his back on Dojo Wars, he has been banned from the building. I'm sick and tired of it. The referee's decision are final. That's something I've always believed in. No matter what happens in the matchup, the referee's decision is final. That's something I've always believed in. But there is something I can do. While I may not overturn the decision, I can levy out suspensions, I can levy out fines. So now, Trooper Autobahn, for everything that he's caused over the past couple of months, I don't want him to ruin what I consider is the biggest show, the biggest event in Dojo Wars history. I do not want him to screw anything up for anybody. So he's banned. And if he even thinks about stepping foot in that building that night, he's automatically terminated. That's it. See you later, Trooper Autobahn. Yeah, that's a big one. Now, number two, this is a stipulation that Blackwater put on this matchup. Anybody who is defeated by Blackwater in this matchup will never get another shot at the Medal of Valor if he retains as long as he's a champion. So if Blackwater beats it, that's your opportunity going down the drain. Because as long as
another gigantic stipulation.
Yeah, just imagine. You got guys like, for example, Kid Osborne. This is his first shot at the medal in a long time, and he's involved in a fatal four. Not a fatal four-way. Excuse me, an elimination four-way. He might get hit by somebody, and then Blackwater capitalizes, gets on top, 1, 2, 3,
and he's done.
He can never get another shot at the medal again.
Yeah,
as long as Blackwater's a champion, if he gets out of this matchup as a champion. Blackwater could go on a complete run. He could beat all three guys.
Yeah.
Or we could have a situation where Frankie or Josh or Kit win the matchup, and then maybe they won't grant Blackwater a rematch because as I've said before, the automatic rematch clause does not exist in Dojo Wars. I feel like that's a cop-out. You got to earn it. You really do. Now, if the champion will grant you a rematch, that's up to him or her, whoever the champion may be.
Yeah, it's a different story.
Yeah, it's not going to be automatic. You know what I mean? It's just a different thing that we do here at Dojo Wars. Now, you got all these things all wrapped up into one matchup. And holy cow. So there's a lot of stuff going on this Wednesday. And, as I said, you're going to get all of these matches for $5. There's nowhere else in professional wrestling that you can get a live show like this in an environment like we have for only $5.
It's the best bang for your buck.
It sure is. I mean, we have top flight talent coming in to be here. We have guys who have been busting their ass week in and week out and earning their spot on the roster and their position in Dojo Wars. You know what I mean? This is just a culmination of everybody's hard work, not just mine. Putting things together, but if these men and women weren't in the ring, putting in the hard work, putting in the effort, I wouldn't have any toys to play with per se. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
I wouldn't have the ability to provide a platform for these people for these professional wrestlers to apply their craft in. And you know what? I couldn't be happier. I couldn't be more proud of the roster, of everything they've accomplished. And trust me when I say this Wednesday is going to be a celebration of professional wrestling, not just Dojo Wars. It's going to be a celebration of professional wrestling because, I'd always put it out there that Dojo Wars is the very best up-and-coming professional wrestling product there is.
I agree.
That happens on a weekly basis.
No, I absolutely agree with you. Now, before we get out of here, Emil, how can people get a hold of you or find Dojo Wars on social media?
All right. They can find me on Twitter at the Emil Jay, TheEmiljay. It would be the same thing for Facebook as well. That would be my @ on there. Facebook, I'm on there every now and then, but Twitter's where it's at for me for the quick updates. Now, if you want to read the big old soliloquies I write on hyping up Dojo Wars, Facebook's the place to find that. But on a regular basis, Twitter is it. Also, Dojo Wars is at CZW Dojo Wars on Twitter. Also on YouTube, it's youtube.com/Dojo Wars 1. I guess that's it. I guess I'll just do the shill for where it is, what time, and how much one more time.
Good.
It's 110 Harmon Drive, Suite 304, Blackwood, New Jersey. The bell time is about 8 o'clock. I hope to be as close to 8 o'clock as possible because this will be a long show. I'm just going to put that out there. It's going to be long, but it's going to be worth it. It's going to be a celebration. And you know what? Sometimes you stay up late. If you're a little bit tired at work the next day, oh well. I think it's going to be worth it.
Damn right.
Sometimes to talk about what happened this past Saturday, sometimes you have to make a sacrifice in order to do something that you want to do or be at a place that you want to be at or see something you want to see. I suggest that if you're kind of leery, like, I got work the next day, so what, man? Just get to the dojo, celebrate professional wrestling. You'll be tired for your day. You can take a nap when you get home. No big deal. It's fine. But yeah, to walk into a place and hand somebody $5 and get probably 3 hours of live professional wrestling.
What more could you want?
That's not anything you'll ever get anywhere else in 2017 or in the future. You know what I mean?
No, not at all.
Yeah. And, it's going to be a great fun. And coming out of that event, we'll have ideas of what we'll be doing at the Super Show. Of course, the Super Show, same location, 110 Harmon Drive, Blackwood, New Jersey, Suite 304. That will be Friday, May 26th at 8 o'clock. Tickets for that, or admission is $10 for that. We don't really have tickets. Admission's $10 for that. And already announced for that is Dojo Deej against Laszlo Arpad in match 1 of their best of 7 series, should it go to 7.
I'm very excited for that.
Yeah, man, it's going to be a great time, and I'll have more information on the Super Show shortly. I just want to see how things shake up out of the anniversary show.
And we'll go from there.
we'll go from there. But hey, man, I want to thank you for having me on.
Emil, it's always fun having you on because I'm not saying this to kiss your ass. This is legitimate. I think you're one of the true. I hate using this word, like the truest, nice dudes in professional wrestling.
Well, thank you so much. I genuinely appreciate that because
people don't realize unless you're in it, as I guess you would say, that not everybody is the nicest person on the block.
Oh, yeah, exactly. I know full well.
But we're going to get out of here on that note for today, everybody. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share, give it a thumbs up, all that good stuff. And we'll see you back next time. Have a good day, everybody.